want to note that this will be recorded and we will be posting it so you can view it again or share it with people within your organization. So welcome to Work Experience Opportunities Grant. We like to call it WEOG because it's quite a mouthful. It's an open call, and this will be an information session to hopefully answer all your questions and provide you as much detail as we can about the grant. So first, I'd like to do a land acknowledgement. United Way, British Columbia operates in the vast region that falls within the traditional homelands of 203 First Nations, each with their own distinct languages, governance systems, laws, cultures, and traditions. We dedicate ourselves to better understanding, respecting, and acknowledging the rich histories of these people, their lands, and their waterways as we conduct our work across this diverse territories. I personally am joining from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Silts Okanagan people, colonially known as Kelowna. Introduction. So, as I said, I'm Stacey Swarchuk and I'm the project coordinator. My colleague Jenny is on the line. She is the specialist, and we have the wonderful direction of our director, Daniela Parks. And at any point, you can reach out to any three of us for any questions you might have. I'm going to ask at this point that we hold all questions, if possible, even in the chat, but feel free to unmute yourself at the end because I've set aside considerable amounts of time for a Q&A. And I do believe that a lot of the most common questions will be covered as we go through this presentation. So what is WEOG? WEOG is a Work Experience Opportunities Grant, is part of the Stronger BC's Economic Recovery Plan. And so it's delivered by us, United Way. WEOG supports nonprofits, charities in creating short-term paid work experience for individuals facing barriers to employment. The program helps participants build employability and work readiness skills, focusing on those receiving BCEA or disability assistance. And this funding is brought to you from the Government of Canada and the Province of British Columbia. Work Experience Opportunities Grant is designed to strengthen employability and work readiness skills while supporting a more inclusive and resilient economy. It funds BC-based nonprofits, charities, and Indigenous-led organizations to offer short-term paid experiences for individuals who are receiving or eligible for BC employment or disability assistance. At its core, WEOG is about helping people move toward employment through these paid work experiences. This allows them to build real in-demand skills. It also focuses on removing barriers to work, promoting inclusive opportunities in BC, and strengthening local nonprofits and the communities that they serve. For many of these participants, this will be their first ever paid work experience. And for others, they are hoping to re-enter the workforce. WEOG helps them build on the skills that they already have, all while receiving supports tailored to the individual's needs. So as the organization, as we refer to as the applicant, what makes you eligible? So if you're a registered nonprofit, a charity, or a qualified donee, as well as an Indigenous-led nonprofit or an Indigenous governing body operating in BC, you're likely eligible. And at any point, like I said, you can reach out to Jenny or myself if you're unsure, and we can definitely help clarify that for you if you are eligible. If you're committed to supporting people with employment, then this grant is for you. Please note that one thing that is important to know is that in order to proceed, if you are funded, you need to be enrolled with WorkSafe and have good standing with them. So coverage and be in good standing. And then this is a big one. What makes the participant eligible? The program is designed for individuals who often fall between the cracks, people with disabilities, barriers to employment, and those receiving income assistance. The goal is to meet participants where they are and provide them these opportunities. all eligible participants must be receiving provincial assistance, not federal. So that's BCEA, known as income assistance, or disability. So there's PWD, persons with a disability, or PPMD, persons with persistent multiple barriers, as well as hardship assistance, and then of course Indigenous assistance through the First Nations or the equivalent Indigenous assistance. Again, at any point, please reach out if you're not sure. When you get to this would be at the recruitment phase, that you're meeting with individuals and you'll need to verify that they are eligible. And if they are unsure themselves, or you can reach out to Jenny and myself. We can definitely help clarify that. So what are the categories? What are these work experiences? Some of you are joining and have already run this program, and some of you are new to this. So you have that creativity as an organization to create work experiences and placements for the individuals, varying from administration to IT, general trades, or maybe even a special project. This is really where you have the flexibility and the creativity to develop job descriptions that would work for both your organization as well as community needs. One of the things in the past when in our past session that stood out to me was we had an organization that took part in WEOG, and she mentioned that they operate from a standpoint of job carving, and I really wanted to mention that. So this would be to the fact is when you are awarded a WEOG grant, job carving means that, yes, there's a job description, but you have the flexibility to shape it around the individual so that it best supports that person for success. So maybe they have like some set skills, not the full gamut of what your maybe job description at first was, but they have enough that you could build out the job description more to be a win-win for the person and the organization. So participants receive a stipend. Every participant will receive it. This makes these roles paid and dignified. There's two choices of intensity, a low or a high, and that variation is not only the hours they need to receive, but also the stipend that they will get. So in the low intensity, it's 200 hours, and they should receive a maximum of 3,000 for their stipend. And with the high, it's 240 hours with a maximum of 3,600 for their stipend. And many of you might be looking at the screen right now and doing the math and going, well, that's not minimum wage. And you're absolutely correct. But WEOG was not intended to be a wage. It's actually just part of a component of a broader support model. So these individuals are on an assistance and will receive it, as well as be able to earn that stipend. But not only that, they're going to gain mentorship, experience, training, and in some cases, certification. And the expectations are a little bit more flexible than than a regular job, because you can adapt to the abilities of the individual so that it aligns with the WEOG goal. We want to foster growth rather than enforce rigid performance standards. Again, it's for the purpose of success for the individual as well as the organization. And so to break down just a little bit more the stipend, each work experience opportunity is a $5,000 grant, and 10% of that can go to your administration fees. From there, the remaining is put towards the stipend and then supports. And those supports can look like training, skills development, employment-related equipment, many other things. And when we get into it and you are granted, or even if you have questions, we can go into further what qualifies that support. And organizations can apply for a maximum of 10 placements, and that being a maximum amount of $50,000 awarded. This is a really important part. How can Work BC support WEOG placements and the agencies? So we've learned that they are an integral part of this whole project. And what you can do is we encourage organizations to reach out to them directly, because participants that may require more support, such as transportation or childcare, WorkBC could definitely assist in that. So that would be reaching out or having the participant reach out once you're in the actual placement process. Not only that, WorkBC can be a huge help in your recruitment phase. So I would encourage you to look into your WorkBC, your local WorkBC center. If you don't already have a relationship, maybe bookmark their phone number and where they're located, because they can definitely be a huge support in making your WEOG placements a success. So this slide is important. It goes over some of the ineligible activities. They are covered in the FAQs as well as the guidelines. If at any point you have some questions, if things are eligible or ineligible, again, I refer you to reaching out to Jenny or myself. We're happy to clarify. Some grant expectations are, like we said, to deliver the work experience, whether those are high or low, or a combination of both. You're going to want to verify that eligibility of the participant, and that will be them providing it to you, as well as, like I said, having that connection with the WorkBC. Disperse the stipends fairly and on time. Support these participants through the entire placement. Submit all required documentation and surveys and reporting. Report any big changes to United Way as they may develop or come up. And promote United Way BC Work Experience Opportunities Grant wherever possible in your communications. And then participate in communities of practice. We will be operating a few of those, not only for the organizations, but as well as for the participants. And then if for whatever reason there are funds that are not spent, we would require those to be returned by March 31st of 2027. Some important dates to put into your calendar is, as you know, the grant went live on January 12th, and it'll remain open until February 24th at 12 noon. The funding we're hoping to have out, if you're approved, between April and May, funding decisions and distribution would be out between April and May. And then your placements can begin as soon as you receive funding. And placements are to be wrapped up by February 28th, 2027. And those deadlines for unspent money and for the entire WEOG to be wrapped up is March 31st, 2027. So again, a few dates there, important to mark down, but the one thing that United Way does really well is a lot of reminders. So we will definitely keep you posted on those dates. This is a full journey from application through to the final reporting. And this process is, we believe, designed to be quite straightforward. And like I've mentioned a few times through this presentation, is you're not alone. So at any point, feel free to reach out, pick up the phone or drop us an email, and we're happy to answer questions, guide you through any of these steps. So at this point, I'm going to thank you for listening to me go over an overview of the Work Experience Opportunities Grant. And I'm going to pass it over to Jenny, my colleague. She's going to take you through how to navigate the application as well as our portal. So Jenny, feel free.
Great, I'm just going to switch over to share my screen. So just give me a few seconds here while I do that. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Jenny Louie and I am the Initiative Specialist. I will be going over our grant portal that is actually used for all of our United Way British Columbia's grant application and reporting process. But first, I just wanted to let everyone know that this recording will be available on our web page, which you should be seeing on your screen right now. It will be posted up, I would think, by tomorrow, so you can go back and check. But where you'll go is you're going to go under Apply for Grant. And under Province-wide, you will see there is more information about the Work Experience Opportunities Grant, and you will notice that as well. There's other information that you should be referring to, including the application guide, the FAQs, and if you wanted to see an application template in a Word version, you can click on here. But yeah, please check back on the website around tomorrow or after tomorrow, and the recording with the slides should be up. Now, our grant portal is resources.uwbc.ca. If you have an account with us already, you will enter in your username, which would be the email address that you registered with, and your password. If you've forgotten your password, you can click on Forgot Your Password here, and an email will be sent to the email address that you registered with to have your password reset. If you're new to us, new to this portal, you can click on Haven't Applied Before to register. So here it is. The first question I'll ask you is basically if you are an organization that is a registered charity with a CRA number, you would click on the top option. For other organizations as well as First Nations bands, you would be clicking on the second option. And when you do so, they're just going to ask you about different, information about your organization, including address, name, and you will click on next. And then this is where you'll put in your information, so your name, your email address. And remember, this email address is going to become your username. So just please ensure that you use the email address that is part of your organization or you commonly use. As any kind of communications as well from related to grants will go to this email as well. And then it's also going to ask you for the geographical region. So depending on where your organization is within BC, just select one. If you're unsure about that, feel free to let us, reach out to us and we can inform you what that is. And then you'll click on sign up. Once you click that, basically somebody, an actual person, is going to verify the information that you've sent us. So this means that it will take up to a full business day. So if you register after office hours or during the evening, during the weekends, during a holiday, you will not receive a confirmation email until the next business day. So all to say, please ensure you register early instead of close to like the due date, the application due date, just in case if there are any issues or we do need to receive further verification from you, that there's time to resolve it. So please register and set your account up early. Now, once you have your account and you log into the portal, this is what you're going to see. To start an application, you're going to click on Granting Stream. And you will see the Work Experience Opportunities Grant listed here. Click on it, and you can start a grant application. Each organization can only apply once for the grant. So if someone else in your organization has already started an application before you, you will not be able to start a new application. What's going to happen is you're going to get this error here that says, unfortunately, you cannot start a new application. So when you get this, that means either you've started or someone else in the organization has already started an application form. If you have multiple team members that are interested in this grant, this funding, please, choose one person to lead the application process. So that means, you would have to figure out, which teams want to apply for this Work Experience Opportunities Grant, figure out how you're going to divvy up the up to 10 positions, and then have one person be in charge of doing the whole application process. So if you get this message or you've already started your application and you want to still access to your application, what you're going to do is when you log in, you're going to click on My Applications and look for the application that's been started. So it'll be Work Experience Opportunities Grant 2026-27. Yeah, and when you go in, you will see that the application is, going to make the screen a little smaller so you see the whole thing. You will see the application is set up in pages. You can navigate back and forth by clicking on either previous page or next page, or on the top right corner, you'll see there's page numbers. So you can navigate back and forth using different page numbers here. I highly recommend that you save as you go. So after filling out a page or after filling out like a long answer question, click on save. This portal unfortunately does not auto save, so you have to save as you go along. When you click on save, you'll see resume later, you press save again. You'll see that it's grayed out. Please don't exit or change anything. You have to wait until the actual process finishes. So while this is grayed out, that means it's still saving. It takes a few seconds, as you saw there. And so it's not until you receive this message saying, thank you, your form is saved, that the form actually saved. We unfortunately have had people lose their work because they've closed the browser or they pressed back or something like that too early. So we don't want that to happen to you. So please, once again, wait until you see this message before you close it. After saving, if you want to go back into the application, if you're going back right away, you can click on your refresh button on your browser. Unfortunately, you'll see these links here. Please do not click on them. It's just a system thing. We can't get rid of it, but it doesn't, it actually just confuses the system. So if you want to go back in, please refresh. If you wanted to go back in much later, so you've logged out, you're coming back the next day to work on it, you're going to go back to that My Applications and look for the applications that you started to go back in. The next thing I wanted to let you know is as you go along, you'll see that some of the application questions will have word limits. So as you can see here on this question, there is a word limit. Sorry, I'm just going to make this bigger. So please stick to that. If you go over, the system will let you know that you've gone over and you won't be able to submit if the word count is over. So this question specifically here where we ask you to describe the initiative, there is a word limit of 300, but we do require you to complete all 4 sections. It's all under this one box. The questions themselves, they're actually quite simple, so you can get all of these in within 300 words, but we just need you to be able to understand that some questions do have restrictions like this. And there's also some questions where it asks you to enter in numbers. So that means don't enter in anything else, no letters, no symbols such as dashes or $sign or percentage signs. Unfortunately, that will create an error, which can make you lose your work. So please, if it asks for numbers, just enter in numbers. A few questions to point out to you that we want you to be able to answer in the correct form is, first of all, the letter of agreement signatures, signees. These are the folks that, if you are successful, we are asking for their contact information so that we can get the LOA process started as soon as possible. The first signee has to be at a board or council level. So they need to be a board chair, board president, chief, or someone at the board or council level. This is very important that you follow these orders. So first signee has to be a board or council level. And the second signee has to be at a senior executive level, so most likely a CEO or an executive director. And once again, please follow this format. If you don't, then we'll have to go back and it can delay the letter of agreement process. If your organization does not follow this format of having CEOs or executive directors or board or council members, please submit something in writing that explains your organization's signing authority structure so that we know that the proper people have been listed in the order that's required. This application, the whole purpose of it is to help our reviewers understand the readiness of your organization. So that is a big criteria of this application. It's hard for us to compare, is this a better position for someone than others? We can't do that. So what we want to see is your organization ready to take on, do these placements? So what we are, in the questions that we ask, what we are wanting to see is, what kinds of positions are you listed? Do you have a proper timeline? What types of supports and trainings are you going to be offering for the participants? We want to know, if you've worked with eligible participants before, whether it be staff members, volunteers, or clients that you serve, or that you have partnerships with agencies who work with the population. And the reason we want to know that is we want to know that you know where to go to recruit eligible participants. So those folks that are on the BCEA, whether it be income or disability assistance program, that's very important. We also want to know that your organization has the capacity to support and train the participants. So do you have enough staff members that can do that? And we do have a question that's, related to that. What many of the currently funded agencies have indicated to us is that, working with this population specifically does require more accommodations, more time, and just different levels of supports and trainings that they weren't all necessarily prepped for. So, we want you to be realistic when you are planning out your applications to make it work for your organization. So, I would say what is unrealistic is you apply for 10 positions that are all different roles. So one admin role, one general labor role, like all 10 different roles, because realistically, an organization wouldn't have the staff members to train, supervise, or support all of these participants for all 10 different roles. So just think about what is realistic for you, because that is what the reviewers are going to be assessing for the readiness. One of the pages is going to be our budget that we are going to be looking at. And the budget definitely also indicates to us about readiness, because we want to see that your budget aligns with the rest of the application, that it makes sense with what you have, told us so far in your application. It's a real big indicator to see that you understand this initiative and you understand the funding. Just a couple logistic things on the budget where it says do not fill in. Please don't fill anything in. There's 4 lines within this budget that you'll be filling in. One is line 50 here, where it is the amount requested and approved from UWBC. So what is the amount that you're asking for this initiative just from UWBC? So the maximum amount won't be past $50,000. The other line that you're going to put in is now the expenses. So line 150 is going to ask for the administration expense, which is up to 10% of the total amount that you are requesting for. The other line is line 700 under other expenses, which will be the stipend amount that you'll be giving to the participants. So as Stacy mentioned before, $3,000 per participant for low intensity and $3,600 for per participant for high intensity. And then the remaining amount will be under line 500 under program expenses, and these would be costs for training, for criminal record checks if needed, other supports that you'll be doing, and it also will include the staff wage costs that are involved with supervising or training the participants. So that will go in here. And please include under the comment section the breakdown of expenses so that it helps us better understand what these, especially these program expenses, are going to go towards. We are also asking you to attach your latest financial statements. And to do that, you're just going to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. You'll notice there's two scroll buttons on our application form. It's the outside part is the whole page. The inside part is just the application form itself. So if you scroll onto the outside page all the way to the bottom, you'll see here a section that says supporting documents. And if you click on add files, you can add Excel files, PDFs, Word documents, images. And so this is where you can upload your financial statement. You can also upload any other supplemental or supporting documents that you want the reviewers to look at, whether it be just more information about your organization, job descriptions if you have them already, or anything else that you think would be helpful for our reviewers to have a look at. I would advise, please don't do the upload until you've saved your application. You can also submit and then attach more documents as well. So just ensure that, before you save, you don't upload any documents. To submit the application form, you're going to go to the last page. And you will see here, next to save, review and submit. You're going to click that. And right when you click, you're going to, if your form has any errors, you'll note this message right away. So it says here, your form is not complete and is not submitted yet as there's one problem with your submission. When you click on OK, it will take you to that problem. So here, my budget is not actually balanced. So for the budget, if your total expenses does not balance this amount here on top, which is the total ask that you're doing, it will show an error. So you need to correct it to ensure that the surplus deficit section here is 0. So your total income, which is the ask from us, matches or balances the total expenses, which is $50,000. Once you do that, you can go back. You've corrected all your errors. You can go back to the last page, click on review and submit again. Please wait as there are further steps. They're going to ask you to just confirm one more time. Go through. This will show you all the responses you put in. Go through them, make sure it's all correct, and then you can confirm. When you press that confirm button, once again, it takes a few seconds. Don't exit or close or go back when it says please wait. You have submitted when it says thank you. So until you get this thank you screen, don't close the window. Just to double check, if when you refresh the screen, you should see that the status of the application shows submitted. So make sure you check that it actually says submitted, because if not, if some type of technical glitch happened or there was an error, it'll still show us in progress. Last thing I'm going to go over with you are just a few tips and best practices for the application. First, as I mentioned before, register now. Start early. Don't wait until the last few days to start the application, because we do get bombarded with a lot of questions and inquiries on the last week of the before the due date. So if you try and reach us for, how do I register, or like, hey, can I talk to you about our grant? Because I want to make sure that, just throw some ideas at you. We probably won't be able to dedicate a lot of time for you during that time. So reach out to us now, register now, if you have wanted to talk to us further and make sure that you have access to the application form. Read the application guide and the whole application before you begin. I showed you where you can get the application guide from our web page, so please go through that and make sure that your application aligns with the funding requirements, and that you are what questions are being asked, so that you're answering the questions to its fullest. Don't forget to include your organization's financial statement or any other supplemental documents to help us understand your organization better. And this is really important. please ensure that you've discussed with your finance or HR team about this initiative prior to applying for the grant so that they understand how the hiring and administrative process will align with your organization's procedures. Unfortunately, we did have some organizations during our previous round that where like the finance or the HR department just really couldn't understand the fact that there was a stipend being provided and not a wage being provided and so forth. So just ensure that your finance and HR team are aware, and if they have any questions, they can reach out to us as well, and we're happy to chat with them. So, and if there are any changes to the main contact person of the application, let us know so that we have the person, person's information to communicate with for any follow-ups, and that we're reaching to the right, correct person. And as I mentioned with the criteria, what we're really looking for is this overall readiness, that we want to see that you've worked with the population or at least know how to reach out to them, to recruit, to do accommodations, and to be able to support them. I think the unique part about this initiative is not just like, oh, you have someone working for you. You're just creating a job for someone. It's not that. You're really creating a full support system. As kind of Stacy mentioned before, it is an overall support system that includes this work experience component. So this is what you're really, doing for the participants. And so we want to make sure, we want to see that in the application form, that you've thought about it and that you're ready to do that. We are also looking for provincial reach, which means, we really welcome applications from rural and remote areas and, all different parts of the province. So looks like we do have some time for question and answer, Q&A. I'm going to just ask, I don't know if there's, actually, just give me 1 second. I'm just going to check to see if there's been any questions on chat.
So I've been going through the chat, Jenny, and I've been answering quite a few. So
okay.
There is a couple. Let me get it for you. Do you have an example of a participation agreement for unionized employers?
Yeah, so, with that, we don't. And, that's really because for each organization and each union, it's unique to your setup and organization and what you have in place with your union. So that is not something that we would be able to provide, and you would have to figure out how it works best for your organization.
Okay, one kind of similar is wondering how would the payment for each placement work? Is there any requirement for the organization to pay the remaining amount of money to match minimum wage? Also, how would this translate for taxation purposes?
Yeah, so I mean, there's multiple things there. So once again, this is not a wage. So it's a stipend to top up the assistance that these participants are being paid. So there is no expectation for you to do a top up. If you wanted to do a top up, you definitely can, but that would be from a different funding source. It will not come out of this WEOG funding. So the amounts are set on what you can provide to the participants, which is that $3,000 or $3,600 based on the intensity level that the participants work on. So once again, no expectations for you to do a top up. If you choose to do a top up, you can, but it has to come from a different funding source. As far as how this gets, the taxes and how that type of procedures, it is really up to your organization on how to do the payments. We are asking you to follow the best practices that your organization already uses. This is why it's important for you to have that conversation with HR and or finance to understand, what are they going to be filed under T4 or T4A slips and so forth, which is up to the organization to decide. Just, if you are going to do the T4 route, that means that there's deductions that will be calculated and figured out through your organization. If you're doing the T4A route where, it's being deemed as a contractor, then the individual participant has to figure out all the deductions and taxes and so forth. And with taxes for the participants, that is, it's each participant is going to have very unique cases. And so that is something that the participant will have to, work on, with their financial advisor or, figure out kind of on their own to see, what works best for them. But, there's no set process or procedures as far as taxes go, because it will be based on each organization and each participant's unique situation.
Thanks, Jenny. Another question was, do we need to provide proof of good standing with Work BC, some sort of documentation?
You will not be required to provide, but we, like on the application form, we do ask you, like, are you in good standings or not? And if you answer no, unfortunately, that's an eligibility criteria, so we won't be able to consider you eligible. But what can happen is there can be audit. So the ministry or we can always ask to forward these documents for some type of proof, or reach out to, or ask you to reach out to WorkSafe to get those verified. So while, we're not going to be asking for these documentations specifically, you can get audited on it.
Perfect, thanks. I'm going to take over and answer a few for you. So another question was, participants who are on BCEA, do they have to register for the program or apply for the job directly? So they don't have to register if they're aware, or if you already know somebody that's on BCEA or a disability and they're interested, you can they can just go directly to the organization that is hosting these placements. And then the second question was, if so, is there a list or a document that resources what names and organizations are offering these placements? And yes, there is, and that is on our webpage. Once all funded organizations have been awarded, we have a wonderful, actually Jenny's navigating right now, a map, and on all of those little pinpoint flags will show organizations and where they're located and what type of placements and I think how many, correct?
Jenny? Not how many, but what kind of placements.
What kind of placements are available.
So this is for the current round that you are seeing.
So it would take a little bit for the next ones. As soon as they're awarded, we would create it. And then both organizations and individuals can source out this map and see what's there for them. Let's see what else is in the chat. Can you clarify between...
Oh, sorry, Stacey. I just wanted to add, like, for your organization, we would also once again ask you to follow your best practices with recruitment. So, if it's the norm for your organization to do interviews, for you to do open postings, for you to do internal postings, that's up to you on how you want to do it. We just ask you to follow the best practices, and just also consider like what could be helpful for the participants. Would it be helpful for them to go through like a interview process? I think most of our agencies that have gone the open call route have done interviews. So, that's up to you on how you want to plan it out. Just considering, what kind of recruitment process your organization will be doing.
Thanks, Jenny. Another question in the chat was how to clarify the high and low intensity again, and how do we know ahead of time which would we be hiring for? So the high and low are two-pronged. So one, it's the hours. Low is 200, high is 240. Low stipend is 3,000 and high stipend is 3,600. And that is completely up to you. So you can do a combination of high and low as you apply for these placements, the grants. You can do them all low or all high. It really is what you feel, I guess, ultimately, you have the capacity to do, because there will be support needed from the organizations. And if you do the application and you later decide like, oh, maybe we should have done a combination, you could change it. You would have to redo your budget and reach out to us, but put some thought into it. What do you think the capacity is? What do you think that job would require? But we, again, would be happy to walk you through any of those questions while you're doing your application. So feel free to reach out to Jenny or myself, and we could definitely meet to discuss in further detail. Another question was, what is the hours per week calculation? Is this a total length of 10 months? So this is totally up to, again, the organization, but those hours can also, you don't need that on the application. You just need to pick the high and low intensity. Those hours can be determined once you actually have recruited and you've secured a candidate for the placement. So once you have met somebody, you can discuss, you can either set the hours or you can discuss what is feasible and what's going to be a win-win for both. So again, you have a lot of autonomy to kind of pick these hours as long as they're completed by the February 28th date. Hoping that I'm not missing any.
Yeah, so just more questions here. Can this WEOG be used to support paid internship placements with our organization as well as through partnerships with external employers? Yes, this can be a part of like a bigger program, especially if you already have existing internship programs and so forth already in place. It can be in conjunction to it. It's just, once again, you need to ensure that the eligibility of the participants are met and that the amounts that are used follow that stipend amounts, $3,000, $3,600, that are paid out of our bucket of funding pool. And then we just want to ensure that 200 hours or 240 hours were done through the stipend amount. So that's what is the window we have to utilize the fund. So the grant closes February 24th. We will have our reviewers review during the month of March, and then we will start to announce the successful participants end of March, beginning of April. So starting like beginning of April, or once you receive your funds, you can start the program or the initiative, and you have until February 28th of 2027 to utilize the funds. And at that, for this round, there won't be any extensions or anything like that available. So it must be used by February 28th. We have some questions that are very specific to your organization or your situation. For those, please feel free to email us or book a time with us so we can go over your scenarios or situations. As far as the timing of funding being provided, like I said, we ask you to follow best practices of your organization. So if your organization is, the practice is that your staff members or get paid, once every 2 weeks or once a month, please follow that. What we don't ask is that you don't pay anything until the very end, because that, that for anyone, that's very discouraging, not have the payments come in until the very end. So we would ask you that you figure out like a schedule for the payments to go out on a regular basis. If you have been funded for the work experience opportunities grant for the last round, you can reapply, and you can reapply for the same type of positions. But the participants that are participating, we do ask that they're new participants if it's for the same types of placements. If you do want the same participants to go through the WEOG placements again, we would ask you either, hey, can they look into other opportunities that other organizations are offering, or you need to provide a completely different type of role for them. So if they did admin roles before, then what you're going to want to do is create a completely different role, so that this individual is able to get as many different types of skills and different types of positions available. What we won't be able to do is have the same position with the same person over and over again. Can we contribute the stipend so that participants receive a living wage? Like I said, yes, you are more than welcome to top up, but like I said, that has to come from a different funding source. And does the work need to be continuous, or can it be in period as our organization on and off seasons? Yeah. As far as the timing of how that 200 or 240 hours is spent, up to you. It can be done on the continuous basis from April all the way to February. Or if you wanted to, it makes more sense that it's a summer position, or then you can have it as that, or you can have it in increments as well. So say you are asking for 6 placements, you want to do one cohort of 3 people from April to August, and then September to February, a second cohort for another 3 people. You can do that as well. Just make sure you outline all of that and inform us of the timeline in your application. Some accommodations involve purchasing of technologies. Could these be available? So, so if you do need any special types of equipment or technologies, this is where we would ask you to go to WorkBC first, because they do have a variety of different types of supports they can definitely do in situations like this. Same thing with bus passes. They're able to provide bus passes as well. So we would ask you to, for the participants and you to refer to WorkBC first. And then dependent on that, it may be available for you to use out of that support amount, out of all the expenses. So, but yeah, all to say, please contact WorkBC and, find out, what are the different types of resources that they're able to provide. Why and what weight is placed on the organization's financial statements? So the financial statements that we're asking you to attach is really just for us to first, it shows legitimacy of the organization, and as well it helps us understand where your organization is at a bit better. It helps us understand your capacity better. Are there enough staff for you to actually be able to support and train and take on the number of placements that you requested for. So it's a supplemental document that's going to help the reviewers better understand your organization. It's not there's no, I guess, weight on it where there's no marks placed on the financial statements. It's a supplemental document that really helps the reviewers understand your organization. I do see a question, a hand up from Saskia. Sorry if I'm pronouncing it incorrectly, but yeah, go ahead and unmute yourself and yeah.
Thanks, Jamie, and also to you, Stacey, for taking the time today to talk us through this grant. I have a follow-up question on the financial statement, so I thought I'd just speak up and then you can ignore my question in the chat. So it's for newly founded nonprofit. So we are a newly founded nonprofit in Vancouver. So I was wondering if, since we don't have financial statements yet, if we could then just include a formal note why we don't have a financial statement for 2024 yet. And that we show our incorporation documents as proof to why we cannot submit that document. Is that enough? Or would you say to include then other supporting documents on budget or expenses or whatever? Other supporting documents can help you show that we are able to.
Yeah, definitely. I would ask you to provide other supplemental documents that really show, once again, demonstrate, that yes, your organization, you have a society number created, that you have, let us know how many staff members that you have. It'd be good for us to understand, yes, you do have WorkSafe in place, things like that, especially for a new organization. If you have websites or social media that can also help us kind of understand your organization better, provide us those information too. But it's the financial statements are a supplemental document to help us understand. So if you don't have financial statements, formal ones, then provide us other documents that will help us understand your organization. Katrina, I see your hands up as well.
Yes. Hi, I was just wondering, we are an agency that supports individuals with disabilities, and we do a lot of work experience placements at companies within our community. Are we allowed to use it for those placements, or is it only for jobs in our own agency that we could use it for?
Excellent question. Yes. So it can be like you can partner with other organizations, but it has to be a nonprofit. So it can't be a for-profit company. So, we have had applications where an organization has been able to connect with other nonprofits in their community. And so, they like the organizations has applied, they're providing the supports, wraparound support, some of the trainings and so forth. But the actual work experience placement is with another nonprofit. So that's perfectly fine. Just make sure that it's that the partners that you have listed for us and that you're planning are going to be nonprofit.
Okay.
I do see that we are almost out of time. Stacy, do you see any questions on the chat that's like really we should be answering? We probably can answer maybe two more.
Yeah, there's one that kind of stood out, and it's a two-prong. It was, what happens if somebody gets fired or laid off from this position? So that's kind of a two-prong answer. One, if for whatever reason somebody leaves or you need to let them go from this position, number one, I would encourage you to follow whatever processes you have within your organization for that, like create an employee file and do what you would, your hiring process, your letting go process, have everything documented. So that covers kind of the organization standpoint on that. Then what do you do with that position left open? So with that, you would probably have remaining hours as well as a remaining amount of the stipend left over. So what is required of the organization is that you fill that again. So you would need to recruit a person to fill in. So let's say it was a 200 hours and there was 100 left over. You would recruit another individual for that 100 hours and the remaining stipend. So that's how we have been filling or dealing with that. We haven't had a lot, but this has come up. So that is the intention. Please try to fill those placements with the remaining. There was one other that I was like, oh, we should talk about that. Where do you advertise your job postings? So this is like, I think Jenny touched on it a bit. You can do whatever kind of is your best practice. So you can internally post, you can do through your networks, through community, newsletters, social media, and we will, to funded organizations, provide you all the documentation on like a template for the job description as well as branding and such. But we encourage you that it's imperative that is advertised as a work experience, not a job, so that it's very clear. Again, if you're awarded, you'll get the branding material as well as like templates to help do those postings.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna have to wrap up.
I know that went faster than I thought.
So, we have our email addresses up here. So if unfortunately we weren't able to answer your questions, feel free to email us, or if you wanted to book a call with us, we're more than happy to chat with you. So please reach us at our email addresses here. And, once again, thank you so much for your interest in this. And we also want to just give another shout out and thanks to the Government of Canada and the Province of British Columbia for this funding. So once again, one more time, here's our email addresses, and to apply, please go to resources.uwbc.ca, resources.uwbc.ca. If all else, go to our website, go to apply for grants, and you will see all the information here.
Yeah,
Okay,
and one more thing, just in case, because we had quite a few people join later, just even in the last few minutes, a recording of this will be posted to our website as well, so you can share again or rewatch for anything you might have missed. And yet again, being redundant, please feel free to reach out to either Jenny or myself, and we're happy to answer questions.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a nice rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.